on, ladies, you know the drill.
We can do this one of two ways. Slow and easy or just plain dead. Your choice.
One prisoner escaped. That still leaves 6 more passengers to cart around. It's pretty obvious this is where they change vehicles.
You gotta be kidding me. Do you know what we're up against?
G'day and welcome back to the channel, Ginger Ninja's Movie Reviews. I am the Ginger Ninja and these are my Trashy Tuesday movie reviews. If you're new to my channel, thank you very much for tuning in, stopping by and checking it out. You're in for a treat today. Now, when I say a treat, I don't mean a good treat. It's just a trashy treat, and this is the absolute pinnacle of trashy treat. Now, this one actually goes out to my good buddy Raul from the MADBLUDS. For some reason, he has coined me the Shark Master. And I decided, you know what? It's time to live up to that name. And I thought I'm going with a bit of a theme for this, well, however long I feel like doing it. Month, weeks, who knows? It could be, yeah, it could be weeks. But I'm going for a prison theme of trashy films. So if you do have any suggestions that you would like to see, the trashier the better, pop them down in the comments below. But today we are looking at Sharkansas Women's Prison Massacre from 2015. So Raul, this one goes out to you, buddy. Anyway, the film was directed by Jimwynorski and stars Dominique Swain, Kristen Newen, Cindy Lucas, Chris DeChristopher, and tracilords. Now, the plot. When a fracking environmental accident rips apart the Earth's crust, the resulting hole lets out prehistoric sharks from an underground that target a group of women and trap them in a cabin. Yeah, literally word for word, that is it from IMDb. Look, Raul, you wanted a shark movie? Well, you got it. And look, even with a title like this one, it is exactly what it sounds like. A bunch of women in skimpy prison uniforms, a swamp full of underground sharks. Yeah, they're underground. They actually go through the ground. And I'll touch on this later, but they kind of feel like a cross between graboids and sharks. So really kind of interesting. But this is just pure cinematic nonsense. And look, if you saw the title and thought, there's no way this would be a real movie, then congratulations. You've just discovered the magical world of low-budget shark insanity. Now, this is something I haven't looked at in a while, so yeah, again, thank you, Raul. Anyway, I guess it's time to break out and go swimming with the sharks in Sharkansas.
Tuesday's never gonna plan. 80s horror in a blitz of tan. VHS tapes down midnight fan. Stop by 9 years, leads them through the night. Alien wars in a neon fight. Android streaming, but in freaking light. Trashy Tuesdays, it's a pure delight.
So diving into the cast, and look, the performances in this film are serviceable. Yeah, and it is serviceable for this type of film. Most of the actors, they are aware of the type of film they're in, the ridiculousness of the movie, and they lean into the campy aspects of that rather than trying to deliver anything too serious. Yeah, and that makes it watchable and enjoyable. Yeah, the two main names of note are Dominique Swain and tracilords. These are the most recognizable names, but the entire cast actually does feature a mix of B-movie regulars and genre veterans. And they deliver performances that they do range from, like I said, serviceable to outright campy. But again, that's what draws you in, and that's what makes you watch it, because it's fun. Dominique Swain, she plays her role with a mix of tough girl attitude and standard B-movie line delivery. And she does try to bring some energy to the role. The script doesn't give her much to work with and gives her some rather really terrible lines to deliver.
Crap on a cracker.
And it really doesn't show what she is capable of, given of her background in film. She'd come from films like Lolita and Face Off, which were huge back in the 90s. So yeah, it's really, she gives a good performance, but it doesn't match what it could be. Tracilords, probably the most recognizable name in the entire cast. She brings a bit of credibility to her scenes. However, she's given very limited screen time and mostly serves as the law enforcement presence attempting to track down the prisoners. But it's very weird that she comes onto this before they've broken out of, that'll go into the writing, so let's get into that now. So directing and writing. Jimwynorski is a veteran of low-budget B-movies, and he delivers a film that fully embraces its absurdity. The pacing keeps things moving. The action sequences, they're often a bit clunky though, but the film, it doesn't have any real tension behind it or suspense. However, the direction actually leans away from this. It actually leans into the camp and schlock rather than the genuine thrills. So for that aspect, it actually wins out. The script, look, it's packed with cheesy one-liners, very generic tough girl banter, and some very unintentionally hilarious dialogue. The plot, well, it's thin and predictable. There's very little effort put into character development, but if you're a fan of over-the-top B-movies, the actual ridiculousness of the premise is part of its charm. Now, I mentioned the pacing, and look, I have to say the pacing is really good in this one. The film doesn't waste much time on setting things up. It just quickly jumps from a prison breakout to full-on shark madness. Now, despite the film actually being a horror-action hybrid, the film never really builds any tension or suspense. As I mentioned, the shark attacks are telegraphed well in advance. You can see them coming a mile away. And the characters, they rarely react in a way that suggests any genuine fear or urgency. But again, this plays into the film's charm. And if you can actually, I guess, get over the non-seriousness of the actual film, you actually might get a bit of a kick out of it. So now on to the special effects. And look, as you'd expect, the special effects are some of the weakest aspects of the film. Practical effects are minimal, and most of the gore is either off-screen or done with digital blood splatters, which makes the kills feel rather unsatisfying. I understand why they do that. It is a cheaper option, but it just doesn't pay off. The underground sharks do look laughably bad, with low-budget animation used to make them appear more like video games. Something like there's a scene in, I think it's Resident Evil 2 on the PlayStation 1, where there's a crocodile or an alligator that's in the sewer. Yeah, that looked better than this. The movements of these sharks are very inconsistent, and their interaction with the environment never looks convincing at all. And as I mentioned, the design of them, it reminds me of the graboids from Tremors. They've got these spikes coming off them, which pushes them through the dirt. Very similar. I did appreciate that. I thought that was a really nice touch and a bit of a throwback to a great movie. So now on to rewatchability. Have I seen this before? Yes, I have. Of course I have. Will I watch it again? Maybe. Yeah, if they ever make a sequel to this one, yes, I definitely will. It's another one where if you don't want to think too deeply about a movie and just enjoy some junk food for the brain, this is a type of film you could go for. And believe me, you could do a lot worse. This is dumb, fun cheesiness at its best. Final verdict. Sharkansas Women's Prison Massacre is a film that knows exactly what it is. A cheap, campy creature feature with a ridiculous premise. And while it's far from a good movie in any traditional sense, it can be fun for fans of so bad it's good cinema. If you appreciate low budget, late night creature features with over the top performances, over the top premise, this might be the one for you. Anyone looking for a well-structured horror film with tension, character development, and effective scares, you may want to keep swimming. But if you're looking for just cheesy fun, this is for you. Overall, for a score, Sharkansas Women's Prison Massacre gets a 5 out of 10. There you have it. That is my review of Sharkansas Women's Prison Massacre. Have you seen this film? If you have, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. I am keen to hear your thoughts on all these films. Am I just rambling on about them for no good reason? Maybe I am. Who knows? But look, I really think this is a fun one to watch. It's very middle of the road. Could it have been better? Yes. Could it have been worse? Fuck yes. It could have been a lot worse. But it's not. And it's got some really fun performances from people like Dominic Swain, Tracilords, the rest of the crew as well. So yeah, definitely appreciate it. So hey, again, shout out to Raul. This one's for you. Anyway, look, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please do hit that thumbs up button. It'd be much appreciated. And of course, if you're not already and you've listened to me ramble on for this so long, hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you're notified every time I do release a new review. Like I said, I'm going into a sort of a prison theme month with some trashy films. So I know there are some really good trashy horror films from the 80s involving prison. So I'm going to be checking some of them out. But if you've got any thoughts or ideas, let me know down in the comments below. Happy to have a look into them if I can find them online or if I've got them in my own collection. Anyway, look, before I dribble on too much, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.
I've been bushy, teach a ninja on the prowl, smacking on pretenders with a